Happy Tuesday, everyone, although to some of us in the United States, it feels like Monday. I think we're going to be a little discombobulated this week because of a long holiday weekend. You are listening to Elaine Bartlett, and this is the Purple Portal. And I will be inviting and encouraging you to call in today with thoughts and questions because we're going to be talking a lot about healing and how we sabotage ourselves. And I'm going to be working from material from a book that I picked up, probably now about 10 years ago, when I was in California and passing through one of these, like a business fair. It was a book and business and kind of a new age fair. It was so massively large that it was kind of one of these things where you can't help but feel, I don't know how I'll find what I need. I was like a homing pigeon being directed to this exact material that we're going to be discussing today. So here's a number, 321-806-3159. Once again, it's 321-806-3159. Some of you may not feel comfortable with this topic today, and you may want to give me a quick shout out via email, which is purpleportal777 at gmail.com. Purpleportal777 at gmail.com. It's a delicate topic. It's a topic that I'm sure will push some buttons in some of you. It's a topic that creates sometimes a little bit of inner turmoil because my approach to healing and good health is, first and foremost, we have to be accountable for it. So that's where we're going to be floating today. But of course, I do want to say a couple of things about, once again, either what's happened in the last couple of days or on my journey up Merritt Island today, because they struck me as worth sharing and worth a kind of a cosmic chuckle. Down in the South, we have grocery stores that are called Publix. And if you've ever been to Florida, it's kind of like the go-to destination for anything and everything. And happily, some days, the checkout person or the guy or gal bagging will say, "Can I help you out with your groceries?" Well, usually I desist and say, "Oh no, thank you. I don't tell them this, but I'm not over the hill yet, and I can do just fine." But the other day, this dear elderly gentleman who seemed older than I said, "Oh no, let me help you out." And I'm thinking, well, okay. The kinder thing is give him a break from his bagging obligations. So we go out and I'm chatting, very amicably. Gee, I think I put the car over here. I mean, it wasn't a conversation that was brain surgeon-like. But I'm being just gracious and kind and calm. And he's now loading the groceries in. And now he reaches out his hand and tells me his name. So I respond, "My name's Elaine." Now, immediately, some of you know, my initial background is palmistry. I can tell a heck of a lot, oftentimes, from a person's handshake. So he had one of these handshakes that was almost too hard, and you could feel like a sense of opinionated and a harshness of thinking. His hand wasn't hard, but it reflected a harshness of thinking. So I'm still holding on, and he says to me, "You look like a believer." Well, I nearly cracked up, but again, I'm being very polite. And I looked at him because I knew, like in South Florida, a lot of the believing is very, very opinionated and stilted. A lot of the believing has to be, it goes along this line. I believe, and therefore I'm saved, and if you don't believe the way I believe, you are not saved. And his handshake said that, and in so many words, his words said it. So I thought, how am I going to get around this thing? So I looked at him with a great big smile, and I said, "Sir, You have no idea. My beliefs are so expansive, I don't even know where or how to begin. So have a great day. Because it's this kind of personality in him, he's going to be ready to convert me. And I don't need a conversion. I convert every moment. Why am I going to go into some very restrictive belief system? So it gave me the chuckle of the day. I look like a believer. Well, the humorous part was I came home, and on the way home, driving home, I'm thinking, dang, what is it? Is it the hairdo? Do I have like a buttoned up collar? What the heck is it that makes someone say you look like a believer? Honest to goodness, I stood in front of the mirror and I thought, do I need to chop off my ponytail? What's the deal here? And finally, I just thought, the heck with it all. I am a believer. He should only know, though, how large and how embraceable and all-encompassing and almighty is my belief system. So that was the humor of that week. Now, driving up here today, on Merritt Island, there is a delightful little airport, and it is little. You know, I don't know that much about airplanes, but I would think a super jet cannot land at this small airport. It's like just the little personal airplanes take off and land. I love airplanes. I have always been so fascinated by the whole energy of it. Where are people going? How do they know how to take care of an airplane and be safe in it? It's always really, really been a big pull. So oftentimes, if any plane's coming or going, I'm watching this plane. So I'm driving down the one and only street from point A to point B on Merritt Island, and a small, I could be misnaming it. Again, I don't know my airplanes, but I would think it was like a biplane. It's a small plane. And this thing is like coming in on my head. So I look at the plane and I'm like, wow, on my head is on my head. This is fabulous. So now it's right on top of me. And I look up and there one wing says Jesus and the other wing says lives. Now, once again, I'm seeing the humor of this thing, and I'm like a happy girl because I'm one of the few that says, you bet your boots he lives. He never left. He never left this plane. And all this nonsense of him dying and the tragedy of his death, I want to shake people and say, would you get over it? He's pure energy. He knew it. He's a cool master. He came with a great message. His message was so powerful and so great, he had to be murdered as a rebel, which, of course, many of the enlightened teachers, masters, and thinkers from all time have been murdered. But that doesn't mean they don't live. So, as far as I understand about this really cool guy, he never left this place. He seems to have a strong affinity toward our success in not destroying ourselves. And so he is so consciously aware of every single flicker that's going on. But I had to laugh because, once again, it's kind of like, I'm sure whoever put those two words on that wing is not seeing it how I see it. So it's all a point of perspective. And some of my radio work is to help you expand your own perceptions and your perspective. Because we have been conditioned to keep it very narrow, very tight, very buttoned down. And I would like to help you unbutton and break loose. So in that light, I'm going to start now with our healing stuff. Well, I can't start with the healing stuff. I do have to tell you one thing about galactic energy because that always thrills me out of my mind. Today, we actually have stepped into the next moon. We've stepped into the next energetic moon energy, and this is the rabbit moon, or the crystal. It's actually called the crystal rabbit moon of cooperation. So Cooperation is a really big word that human beings seem to not want to be too happy exploring anymore, but it is worth exploring for the entire month. And crystal energy is very light and expansive. Oh, let me see if I can just give you a couple of words of wisdom about the crystal energy before I move into healing stuff. Can I do this quickly? Crystal. Yes, I can. All right. The crystal energy has to do with a sense of rededicating yourself to yourself. You're the only one that gets to do you. And then once you do you, a larger sense of cooperation and broadening, just broadening. So you do have a huge place in the formation of the tapestry of life. And it's very valuable. When that essence of you is complete with the experience of life, it doesn't mean the entire tapestry disintegrates. It really is. If any of you have ever worked with what we call crewel work, CREWEL, or embroidery or tapestry, sometimes there's just a little flick of a certain thread, a little flick of white, a little flick of brilliant orange. And so it doesn't mean that your life was wasted. It just means that's the experience to get that little flick of energy into the universal tapestry. So nothing is ever lost, including the tapestry. Okay. So I was looking this week, and now remember, if you want to call in, the number is 321-806-3159. But I think some of you are going to want to just hold that call until you see where I'm going with this. Many of you know I have a library. My books have books. That allows me to call myself a true bookie. So my books have books. However, over the years, I've outgrown a lot of them. And particularly in the last 18 months, as I've become much more clear about the fact that I am that, and I am the eternal one, as you are. So many of the books have just dropped away because they're in duality. And I don't want to be going down the wrong road anymore with things that are in duality. It just doesn't work for me. So my antennae are up, my everything is heightened, my sight is heightened, my hearing is heightened, and probably much to the chagrin of some people, although I'm very careful, really, for the most part, of when I see someone's in duality, it's generally not appropriate to say much about it. Sometimes it is, and when it is, then almost on some level I'm asking permission. But anyway, so I was reading this work about illness because my next book is going to have to do with illness and getting in touch with the essence of it, and then the healing. Or how is our healing? So in this book, which I've always been very fond of, and actually the book is called Right Use of Will, it says, quote, "Illness is not sabotage. It is the body's statement that you have been having to hold the imbalance of denied will, and this needs release. If you can accept the message and regain your necessary balance, illness disappears and health prevails. No person needs to die from illness